And we're back for another GAC here. We're in the final week now. We're in our first round. And we've kind of climbed back up there as far as the leaderboard goes. So we are going to be facing some very challenging opponents in this final week. I think we made it all the way up. I think we're within the top 500, which is pretty cool. I would very much like to end there, though, because it's kind of a status thing, but also crystals. Also, look, there's Wolf. So that's cool. But yeah, so we've gone pretty high. Let's go ahead and look up who we're matched against, and then I'll talk a little bit about his account. So we're up against Darth Scott on steroids. Never heard of him before, but also a lot of people haven't heard of us, so, you know, it is what it is. His overall stats are pretty good. Again, we're getting back into that threshold where everyone has a lot on us. So he's got 350 relic levels, which is kind of be anticipated. Star Killer and Ray, which is really just expected at this point. We should be getting Star Killer before next week, though. Or not before next week, but before next GC, so that is very exciting. We do have him beaten mods by small margins, like we have more plus 25s, 20 more. We've got 20 more plus 20s. We've got 10 more plus 15s. He does have us beat him plus 10s and in 6-dot mods, but that's kind of okay. Those are, depending on how you look at it, those are two slightly more relevant ones. And then Omicrons, we're pretty much tied, except for, of course, you know, he has Star Killer, the bright Omicron, and we have First Order TIE Pilot. So we'll see really how that fleshes out in the battle, but it seems to be, other than, you know, the relic levels, Ray and Star Killer, it's a pretty even match. So taking that away, let's go ahead and look at what we did with the board. We left our board pretty much the exact same as we did for last match. This opponent places 5 Galactic Legends on defense, and this time I was thinking, oh, this is great. We can just place JMK on defense. He won't be able to get past us, and I was looking through his history, and he's pretty much able to counter any single 1GL. So for me to be able to block him on the front wall, I would have to put 2 down. If I put 2 down, I don't get through his bottom wall, and then the whole thing is kind of pointless, because he's able to use C to pretty much beat every single Galactic Legend, except I think Lord Vader, and versus Lord Vader, he just uses Fennec. So our front wall is just trying to get him to pull, not even really trying to pull higher teams, but just get him to fail. The last opponent we went against failed a ton of battles. I think 8 in total or something like that on our walls. Our back wall is super skimpy. And then up top is pretty normal. And our ships really haven't changed in like the past 2 months. I'm gonna keep using that until it stops working. It's pretty much the traditional FU with Tarkin instead of Thrawn, just so we can use Thrawn for cleanup. But yeah, Tarkin, Negotiator, and Executor there, and it's been working really, really well for us. And then his defense, I have a plan. I think we can get through it. But if pretty much one thing goes wrong, we're just hosed pretty badly. So gonna try Jedi Knight Luke, Jedi Knight Revan here, see where that gets us. Versus Lord Vader, it's gonna have to be SLKR Watt. We're gonna have to JMK Mirror here. We're gonna have to use C something. I would love to use Watt here, but we can't. We also can't use Armor here. Not sure what we'll do there. And then versus the Jedi Trinity, not the Jedi, well, I guess there's Jedi Trinity right there. Against Ray, I think we're gonna try JML, honestly. Not sure, not 100% on that, but I think we can redo it in a way where she doesn't completely slaughter us, because she only has 1 offense primary, so she's really not high offense for Ray, but, I mean, Ray slaughtered our JML last time. Top ball is actually pretty good, too. He's got Iden, he's got Darth Revan, he's got Star Killer, he's got Qui-Gon Jinn. And the Nute team is a little bit easier. Hopefully we can Geo that again. But yeah, a lot of these other teams are going to be hard, but let's go for it. And here we go. So we're going to go ahead and start off first with the JMK Mirror. I really don't feel safe doing anything else, just because with 5 Galactic Legends on the front wall, we have to use SLKR elsewhere, because he put Maul with Lord Vader, which means that's pretty much our only option, or at least our only safe option. So luckily we did have the faster cat here, so that was really nice, because that basically meant that we got to use the R2 comp, and with the R2 comp, it's very, very hard to lose, because they essentially you put the smoke screen onto JMK. They waste their Annihilate, and then you just kind of have them one-up to the entire round. Even if they do manage to get a kill in on your R2, it ultimately doesn't matter a whole lot, because you still have 2 characters, and they still have to burn through your 2 while you've been burning through theirs the entire time. Especially with Ahsoka only being very limited on how many armor shreds she can put out, and with us pretty much being able to put as many out as we want, because yeah, she just blew 2 there onto R2, and if R2 dies, then, you know, she still has to deal with the 2 that are on her. So we don't use the foresight as much here. We're using more the basic to charge ult with R2, just because JMK also just rips it off as soon as he gets whatchamacallit. We did put it on there just for a second so we wouldn't get countered, and also I kind of like the foresight going onto JMK. So even even with when the enemy JMK has the high ground, I kind of like that. I think that was a good move. And eventually, Cat just destroyed him. So, moving on now to the Lord Vader. And this is really kind of fun. And I think this is pretty versatile. We do have a full health SLKR, but still. We start this match here. I do have an R7 SLKR. I believe that Malo's R8. He puts all 5 hits into our SLKR and just doesn't kill him. So looking really, really good for us. Malo now has 3 stacks Anguish, so we can't stun him. So we just have to really stay on Royal Guard. But we go ahead and siphon Malo just once. So I want to make sure his mastery is lower in case he gets the 5 hits off again and Lord Vader gets his big special off there. So we do that. And then here, I don't know if we necessarily had to do this, but we just wanted to play it kind of safe. Instead of going and siphoning Maul, which we probably could have done and then waited for a bigger ult charge, we just went ult just so we wouldn't have to take all 5 hits of Anguish, and we could just really recharge there. So I swiped on Royal Guard because he was stunned at the time, so that was a lot of mastery we were able to steal. And now we do this fun thing where we stop hitting Royal Guard at a certain point, because I want Royal Guard to be standing for when Lord Vader gets his next ult, because we've drained a lot of mastery. We've drained a lot of mastery in Royal Guard right now, and I really want Lord Vader to take that in. So he goes ahead and takes that in, and now he's dealing 4k damage. So yeah, really, I mean, that's all she wrote. There's nothing Lord Vader can do about it after taking in that. I think he just dies with negative mastery. Like, it gets to that point. So really good banners there in that fight. I mean, we had to use what's-his-face, but it was cool. This fight, I liked this combo a lot for Rey. I might even vouch to say that this is the best Jedi comp for Rey. Joe Leech is great because he has a ton of survivability, even outside of his revive. He has boosted max health, so the ult is unlikely to kill him, and then when it doesn't, he can just revive whatever second Jedi is there. You will do note we went after R2 first. I just wanted to make sure that R2's offense was not at play when Rey got to her first ult, so that was kind of mission accomplished. I really do like Kyle Katarn in this comp as well, because when we call him to assist, he hits 3 times, and if he gets multiple crits, he pretty much very consistently rips all of Rey's inspired offer. So when we're gaining turn meter, she's not gaining a bunch of mastery, which is really, really good for us. I mean, that's the whole reason really why we didn't take in Hoda here against this comp. Was specifically because of that. You'll notice we do it now. We call within Kyle Katarn to hit Rey, and she lost all of her inspired. So, you know, the more TM we're gaining here, she's not getting to use all of that as damage. So we do need to be very careful now to make sure to always call in Jedi Master Luke post ult so that he's getting more protection back. Because without protection, he'll stop taunting. And if Jolie eats a whirlwind, this goes downhill really quickly. So we just keep calling everyone in, specifically targeting JML when we can. And then Rey's dead. And we pretty much a home run there. So that was really, really nice. Everyone was able to survive anything. I think partially because we just weren't constantly feeding Rey a bunch of offense through turn meter. I mean, we did have a little bit of turn meter going around, but not nearly as much as we did in the previous fight. And then JTR just dies, so really nothing to see there. This fight, okay, so this was interesting. This has some ramifications later down the line, but I really wanted to see what the impact of this was, because we were looking at the data for this, and for whatever reason, this fight does not go well. I know a bunch of people had mentioned that if Lord Vader gets back to full health near the end of the battle, SLKR just one-shots him. But I've been playing around with this in Arena, and because of how SLKR treats his ults, like he does them like 1 turn at a time, so he's not getting those 3 big hits to build up a bunch of mastery charge. I've never had that crit just kill him. Typically when my Lord Vader dies, it's just because SLKR whittles him down with just his offense. But anyways, we're able to get Hux out really early, which is nice, because it's a lot less turns and a lot less assists coming from SLKR. We were able to use a heal, ult, and then heal back to back, so we're looking pretty healthy. I guess no pun intended. Now we're pretty much fine. Once you get to about the 30 underestimated stack point, that's pretty much when you're safe. Anytime before that, it is a little sketchy. So I think the main reasons why this loses in threes is just because you can't get enough underestimated going in the very beginning so that your heal doesn't do as much, and then SLKR just kills you. So I'll take that. So we did miss the first 15 seconds of this fight. I had my screen messed up, during the stream, but we had Trey in there as a second just to immediately cleanse the ability block off of us. I didn't want to get stuck with the ability block on the very first turn, not be able to link, not be able to keep them from critting, not be able to gain ultimate charge, not be able to steal the protection, etc. So we're contemplating this a little bit. Jedi Master Luke just landed the ability block, which is annoying, but really it doesn't change too much for this next move because the ability block is going to stay there with or without ult. There's basic code there just because he's going to be the one surviving. Jedi Master Luke is really annoying here. Increases our cooldowns, but ultimately doesn't matter. Blow everyone up, and then yeah, this C wins this slappy fight pretty darn easily. But yeah, so now that we don't have Lord Vader to take out Starkiller, we go ahead and once again try our first order against this team. And the last issue we had with this was just our 5 Lobster just wasn't really able to kill Starkiller, and we were being told it's obviously basics do the most damage because of Huck's lead. You have to do it, and I don't really think the special would have made a big difference. But you can see just how pitiful our damage is against crit immune Starkiller. It's not good here. Like we go and use our basic, and it's crits for 8k on both of them, so not good. Palp very unfortunately lands all 3 of his stuns, which none of that's good. I mean, that's pretty much game right there, because Starkiller then just goes and kills Hux. So yeah, this counter I still think has a lot of viability, but you're not going to make this work under Relic. We will not be trying this ever again, unless I see we have an opponent that has like an R3 Starkiller or something like that, or doesn't have an Omicron or something dumb, because this just is never, it's not going to work at the current Relic levels, and that's fine. It's just something we need to plan for, or we need to have in mind. Because Starkiller is probably going to be on defense for the rest of 3v3. And I don't mean just this season, but upcoming season. So some other solution needs to be done, because first order, at least for me, until I get Lobster, which I don't know when it's going to happen, it's just not going to work. So we ended up just quitting out of that battle. And now what you're seeing is we're taking in a bunch of burners until we can get the Daze and the Tenacity down out. And we're just going to take in Wampa. And we actually do a really funny thing here with Wampa. I'm very afraid of the Tenacity down, because once the Tenacity down lands, everything else will land. And we only have one way to cleanse. So I think this is a little bit risky, and at the end of the battle, we kind of see that it wasn't really necessary. We don't use Icebreaker here. We just go right for the Roar, because again, we have one way to cleanse Tenacity down, so that the stuns and the shocks and the staggers and everything else doesn't land. So we just go for it. I figured, we'll probably do enough damage on counters. Kind of a big ask to Wampa, but seems to be going pretty well. We just keep doing what we're doing. Even with Mara's double assist there, that's really the most damage they're going to do. We're getting enough health steal on each counter. And at a certain point, they just have way too many dots. We just go ahead and basic Mara, kill her. And then once she's done, we finally use the Icebreaker, and that's game. Coming in versus Darth Revan, once again with this Thrawn team with L3, really love this. I mean, we've used this so many times, and it works every single time. Granted, I do have a lot of offense and crit damage on my Vader. I think that does make a significant impact on him. We're able to, one-shot Darth Revan immediately. We're able to kill Bastila Shan falling on basics. So that's really where this kind of gets hairy. If you can't kill Bastila Shan almost immediately after Darth Revan goes down, then it doesn't look too good. But yeah, it doesn't really make a huge difference here. We just try to keep Malak ability block to the best of our ability. Not going so well. Always giving turns back to L3, because pretty much if she's the linchpin for this working. If she goes down and Malak can start life draining and putting Tenacity down, healing on everyone else, this is going to get really shady really fast. So constantly going back to L3, constantly giving her protection back, so that if she does get life drained, it's not just going to immediately kill her. And then we whack Malak. So that felt pretty good. So this team, I knew there was a lot of RNG going into this. Bad Batch has a very outside chance at beating this team. You pretty much have to land all 4 stuns, and even then, things can go wrong. So we land the first 3 stuns, which is very good. Now what we're going to do, we're going to put an Expose on Qui-Gon Jinn to make him a little bit easier to kill. And we're going to go ahead and target Jedi Anakin. That way, the stun goes on him. So that way, when we go and kill their Qui-Gon, not only does Jedi Anakin have healing immunity, but he also misses his big turn. So this sucks. We didn't kill Qui-Gon Jinn. We didn't kill Qui-Gon Jinn on the Hunter hit. So if we would have killed Qui-Gon Jinn, we could have immediately gone and killed Anakin, and then we could have played a little dance with Cam, where maybe we would have beat him, maybe we wouldn't have. His a lot of time we've done it before where we've won, where he just switched stances and really screwed himself. But pretty much we've lost here. We weren't able to kill Jedi Anakin immediately. The days dropped. We're gonna play around with taking the foresight off so that his special doesn't do as much damage because he gets bonus offense from that. But I mean, he's got the bonus offense from Qui-Gon Jinn. He's got the bonus offense from the lead itself. He's already ticked off. He just blows everyone up. So that wasn't great, but at the same time, it was kind of a risk we had to take. We didn't have a lot of better options. Went ahead and used Jedi and Luke here. We've done this before. It's worked out pretty well. That was not like the best opening that I could have hoped for, but also not the worst. If they just went all in on Cam, that might have just been a loss. And we have to try to time our assists here pretty well, because I don't want to accidentally just give them free turn meter and free health when we could just be killing them. So that's pretty much exactly what we're doing here. We don't put the extra Jedi's, I don't know what those Jedi's will? I don't remember the name of that ability. We only do that when we really need it instead of just doing it for funsies like we typically would. And we just kill the team. We've done that once before. It feels pretty comfortable. Iden's not too bad on 3s. This fight is very, very comfortable, honestly. We've done it other times against stronger teams with Kyle Katarn instead of Grandmaster Yoda. And our Grandmaster Yoda hits pretty hard. We still have him modded for offense. We have 2 forms of cleanse here, which is really, really nice. Not having Bastila. We've done this before with Kyle Katarn and Jolie. And with that team, we only had 1 cleanse. And that was quite a bit more annoying to work around. This is just fine. Like, you're not going to lose this at all. So yeah, we kill Vandor because otherwise we can't kill anyone. We kill Dash, and at this point, I think we legitimately just put it on auto. Yeah, because we're going to call enough assists that everyone's going to finish with full protection. L3 isn't going to strip it from us. We're going to have foresight. There's nothing they're going to be able to do. This is going to be it'll be an easy full banner on auto. Not the whole battle is on auto, but just this part didn't really want to have to waste our time with it. And there she goes. So 57 there. This team, this is, spoiler alert for this battle, an incredibly fatal mistake. And in fact, this cost us a lot. So we go ahead and take in the Imperial Trooper team here. It's going pretty well in the very beginning. We're immediately able to get Dooku out. And range with him here, we need him to pretty much constantly, if not constantly, we need him to call Dark to assist once. And he literally never does. Throughout the entire battle, we have like a 25% chance to drop for characters to assist, and Dark never does once. And Nute and Jango just run us over. I mean, we do get it just down to Jango at one point, but he's got too much offense, and his revives keep coming back, and our Dark is, he lost too many stacks right out in the opening, so that was really, really bad. And that was really preventable. We could have thought of another team. I thought about it much after the match, but we could have just used normal troopers there. Like Veer's Piet Dark would have worked just fine. We would have got way more than enough turn meter from the kills. And then on top of that, we would have been able to... Jango wouldn't have gotten stuck in damage immunity with just 3 troopers. And that's really... My head, for whatever reason, was in 5v5. They're like, oh no, you can't take, a team against troopers because Jango will time you out. Which is totally how it works in 5v5, but not at all how it would have worked in 3s. That was a huge mistake. So we took a nest against Phasma. That was fun. Really no risk there without Xylo, so, funsies. And then we go ahead and take the leftover troopers, Piet and Veers, against this Fin Poe team. Really, I mean, it's just too much turn meter. We go first, we win, and there's nothing they can do about it. Kill Finn, or Resistance Hero Finn first. OG Finn does get a turn, but it doesn't matter. Pretty clean 57. We go ahead and take in JTR for the cleanup of Jango. Pretty simple. I mean, this trio is... I mean, this is like the best single cleanup team in the entire game, I would almost say, just because you don't ever take a turn with the amount of turn meter control and stagger and whatnot they have. Then we go ahead and take in this crew team, which is a very real good team that I have that I like a lot against Jedi, Anakin, and Cam, just because they're a pretty big threat, honestly. So we go ahead, we stun Cam right off the bat, because I don't want to have to deal with him taunting and taking this away from Jedi, Anakin. And then we're pretty much able to loop turns back around and get full banners here. We got to go kill... He put some really bad teams in back behind his Galactic Legends. So we just went ahead and cleaned up with some pretty, pretty much just whatever best teams we had left. Used Padme versus the Separatist team. Really, not a huge amount of synergy here. I mean, I guess Sunfat calls someone to assist, and Magna does have a counter, but, you know, they die pretty easily. Go ahead and take in our Bounty Hunters now versus his Resistance team. This goes just about as well as you would think it would. Again, not a lot. I mean, this is just a... Even with our gear disadvantage, this is just a much better team. Yeah, we get the Annihilate, get rid of Scavray, get rid of him. Yeah, there's not a whole lot going on in this fight. But pretty easy to win. Just takes a minute. We do get full banners on it, which is really nice. Now we get the ships, and he actually cheese shipped. It's been a minute since we've had an opponent that full on and went and cheese ships. But he put down, I think Rebels might have been his strongest team. No, Empire was. He put down Empire. Yeah, for Rebels, we just use Finalizer. Really hard to lose with this team. We haven't experimented with starting Echelon yet. It probably works just fine. But this is what we're used to. I knew this would work, so this is what we went with. Went ahead and killed Millennium Falcon right off the bat. I feel like even if they do kill Silencer here, I still feel like they lose. They're just not... They have no firepower as soon as the Millennium Falcon is gone. So we get some big hits in there on the Rebels, and they die super quickly. This battle's a little annoying. Rebels do a fantastic job of controlling Raddus, like, really, really well. But at the same time, with the amount of foresight and evasion up and everything they have, it can be kind of a pain to work them down. So obviously we go after the Millennium Falcon, their Millennium Falcon first, just because I want to get the buffs off him so he doesn't get a big hit and wipe everyone out. He dies pretty easily. They bring in the tank next. I don't really have... I really think you're lacking by not having the resistance fighter as the reinforcement, because without that doesn't assist. But what do I know? I don't even have Raddus. So yeah, they pull in the resistance bomber, who is in stealth for this part of the battle. So great way to be a tank, Juhani. Finally starts taunting, and then yeah, this is where it gets really annoying. We get a little bit of a drought with Falcon assists here, and I mean that just makes things take longer. This team is not going to kill us. It's not even going to get close. Sorry for anyone who didn't see that coming. Yeah, this is where we're just kind of in a Falcon drought, where we just have like 3 or 4 turns in a row where nobody does anything, or Falcon doesn't do anything. But again, it's as long as we get to our out before they do, and it really looks like we're going to, we should be entirely fine. They do put days out on more characters than I would like, though, to be frank. So we do have a handful of characters days there, and they bring in Jedi Guardian, I guess, to heal. I guess that's probably just so that they get to their ult. Ends up not really mattering here. Jedi Consular is in stealth, so we can't go directly after him. We use that AoE. We use it again. More damage. And now Jedi Consular just dies. So that was that bad on them. Last but not least, we have the Tarkin team. Gonna bring in Malevolence again here. I mean, this battle just feels like it gets easier and easier every time, regardless of lineup. I was a little disappointed that Shuttle came in first. I really wanted it to be the prototype, because when the prototype comes in first, he gets all those debuffs and he rips all your buffs off, and that's awesome, because then you just go and cleanse and you put overcharge. When he comes out as the second reinforcement, then it's a little bit more of a pain in the butt, because by then we've already used our cleanse, we've already used everything. Yeah, so we're able to get the TIE Bomber there immediately. We bring in Spy, just get rid of their tank, get rid of Vader instantly. This team cannot tank things against Malevolence. They just do so poorly at it. So the prototype does come in at a time that I would rather it came in first, but it didn't. And then we're able to get the Palpmobile or whatever it's called out of there, stun the prototype, and then just kill the prototype. So overall, pretty easy fleet battles. But we did end up losing by 6 banners. And this is one of those, and I probably shouldn't do this. It probably isn't good for me as a competitive player, but... So some of these losses were legitimately, like, I kind of stand by what we did. Like, the Starkiller thing, the First Order, we still wanted to try that. We wanted to see if that had validity. It did not. The 6 teams, that's a lot of our burner teams getting cooldowns right. So I don't really blame myself for that. I honestly don't blame myself for this either. This was not... we've done this battle before, and I didn't really have anything else. This, however, is completely avoidable. This loss sucked. And I can't say for certain, had we just thought a little bit more, we would have beat him. Because he attacked second, so he knew he had the score he knew to beat. He might have played things differently. He did fail on a few teams. And he must have done worse on banners-wise, because he didn't fail on nearly as many teams. We had Yeah, he must have had really bad efficiency, actually, because we failed a total of 4 times. I guess 3.5, because the Starkiller fight was only at halfway. Yeah, he failed on 2 teams, so he should have had a 30 banner lead, and he only won by 6. So again, props to him. I'm not trying to take that away from him. It might have been different, but I do like we could have played better. Is pretty much what I'm getting at. There's some battles we get to and like, okay, we tried our best and this is where we got, or like it wasn't even close. This one was really close and we could have done better. So that's pretty much the hope for the next time is to do better. But until then, stay awesome, guys.